Suki Hontu, brothers and sisters, good morning. How are you? Hope you are all doing well and staying safe at home. Thank you for joining us today. The title of our Dharma talk today would be Veil of Illusions, the 5 Hardcore Delusions and Wrong Views, specially brought to you by Shah Buddhist Society. We'll start the session today by chanting together as a mark of respect for the great compassion and wisdom of the Buddha and to reaffirm our faith in the three jewels. Let's put our palms together to join in the puja.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Buddhang saranang gacchami, dhammang saranang gacchami, sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami, tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Panatipata veramani sikkapadang samadhiyami. Adinnādāna veramani sikkapadang samadhiyami. Kāmesu miccācārā veramani sikkapadang samadhiyami. Musāvādā veramani sikkapadang samadhiyami. Surameraya majjapama dattana veramani sikkapadang samadhiyami. Itipiso bhagavā arahang samma sambuddho viññācarena sampanno sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisa dhammasārati sattā deva manusānam buddho bhagavāti. Svākkāto bhagavata dhammo sandintiko akāliko ehi passiko opanayiko paccattam veditammo viññūhīti. Supatipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho Ujjopatipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho Ñāyapatipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho Sāmīcipatipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho Yatiram cantari purisa yugani atte purisa punggala ඒස භගවතෝ සාවක සංඝෝ ආහුනේයෝ පාහුනේයෝ දක්ඛිනේයෝ අංජලි කරණීයෝ අනුන්තරං පුඤ්ඤං කෙන්තං ලෝකස්සාති සාදු සාදු සාදු.
Brothers and sisters, please allow me to introduce our speaker today, Sister Carol Kwok. Sister Carol Kwok is currently a chartered accountant, graduated from University of Malaya back in 1992. She was born into a Buddhist family and has been trying to understand Buddhism since a very young age. She does meditation under the Theravada Vipassana Meditation since 2001 by spending a fortnight every year in intensive meditation retreat. With a background from both Mahayana and Theravada, she now emphasizes on daily practical application of Buddhism in life, as she believes Buddhism is only a knowledge if it is kept in our notes, our sutras within religious places. Buddhism has to be assimilated into our life before we could see how magnificent and magical it can transform our life. So, brothers and sisters, after exposing what are the illusions and bubbles in the last talk, Sister Carol will continue to reveal the delusions and wrong views today. Without further ado, let us all welcome Sister Carol. Over to you, please, Sister Carol.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Okay, maybe we shall start with our puja, okay? Opening sutta. So I share screen. All right, so let's put our palms together and then we will start our opening sutta. Verse for opening a sutta. The unsurpassed, profound, and wonderful Dharma is difficult to encounter in hundreds of millions of eons. I now see and hear it, receive and uphold it, and I vow to fathom the Tathagata's true meaning. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, so today we are, wait, hang on. Oh, I must share this one first. This one, okay, this one, okay. Okay, oh, this one, okay, okay. All right, veil of illusion. Okay, since last lesson, we already know that even from the quantum physicists and the Buddha, it's kind of like we know that the world is merely a giant virtual computer game called life. Okay, why we come here is the purpose of to learn to cultivate our virtues and also to wake up from this, how to wake up from this dream or this game, right? So, but however, why is it so difficult for us to wake up from this dream, the dream of illusion? So the Buddha said, because there are 5 hardcore delusions, okay? So these hardcore delusions are very inherent. Inherent meaning it's already inside our consciousness. So it's really not easy. That's why it's called hardcore, right? So, okay, let's dive into these 5. Right? Before these 5, I do a little bit of introduction. A lot of these heavenly realms saints in the bodhisattvas, they said samsara itself, the samsara itself, it's the hardest place for awakening due to these hardcore delusions, hardest of all the other, among all the other Buddha land, like Amitabha,西方极乐世界, they call the Amitabha. That one is much easier. But compared to Samsara, this Buddha land, this place is a very difficult place for a being to wake up. But that is why it is a beautiful school to actually to sharpen our skills and our our virtues. Okay. Even Amitabha in the Amitabha Sutta, Amitabha, okay, he actually praised our Lord Gautama Buddha, saying that our Lord Gautama Buddha is truly magnificent and remarkable because he is able to attain Buddhahood in such a difficult, harsh, and extremely deluded realm of samsara. Okay, and this one actually openly everybody know that our Gautama Buddha is very remarkable, right? And all right, so what are these 5 hardcore delusions, right? These are all very inherent, so it's not easy to wake up from. All right, so okay, let's look at these delusions. Okay, it's on the board, right? Number 1, namely the delusion of disaster. Second, the delusion of seeing. Third, the delusion of agony. Fourth, the delusion of arising. And fifth, the delusion of being alive. Okay, we will dive into all these in details later. So in Mandarin, the Mahayana Sutta, we call this 五浊刚强, 五浊刚强. That's why 刚强 is very, very hardcore, right? All the sentient beings living in the samsara are called the beings of the hardcore. Even we are also called the hardcore, right? Due to our thick and muddy consciousness. Okay, why is it hardcore? It's nothing to do with the external environment. It's basically in the consciousness itself. Okay, and therefore these beings find it so hard to wake up from this our ultimate truth of universe, whereby everything is an illusion. Okay, so we thought everything is so real, and that's why we became so serious with everything. So serious, huh? That's why we suffer. Okay, this is akin to a sponge. You know, sponge. Okay, when you soak it into the water, our delusion is such. It's like all directions. We are so immersed into the water, the sponge. It's so difficult to dry the sponge because you are already in the water, right? Imagine what if you are soaked within oil. It's not water anymore, it's oil, okay? Or even mud, or the worst of all, cement. So imagine our delusion can be so hardcore until like cement, cemented. We are cemented inside this, delusion. So that's why you see, even when we interview people on the street, some people, they don't even realize they have a mind. They don't even realize they have a mind of their own, okay? Therefore, stepping back and repositioning is very important, okay? Our step back and reposition, this is the most foundation skill for 5PAT, yeah? Okay? Stepping back and repositioning is actually a mini awakening every time when we do it. The more, the better. The more often we do this, the better. Okay? And next, the longer the span, holding at these awakened moments is even better. So when we step back and reposition and stay there, the longer, the better. Okay? So this is just like bodhisattvas. Maha Bodhisattvas can step back and reposition and stay there at the span of this awakened moment for 95% of his time. 95%. But that's why they are so awakened. However, for human, if you can start with maybe 3% or 5% in a day, right? It's already quite not bad. We are on the journey. But however, if you can improve to about 30% in a day, 30% of our time in a day, with this step back and reposition, we can reduce our suffering to at least 50 to 70%. you know. So this is the power of stepping back and repositioning. Okay. The Bodhisattva can do so automatically. For them, it's not an effort, you know. For them, it's very automatic that they always step back and reposition and look at things now from a much higher consciousness. Okay, so why they can do this? Because this is they became an innate thing, you see. It's just like the sponge, when they come down to the samsara, they are being wrapped up by a layer of plastic, you know. So when they come down, they are not easily soaked into the delusion of the samsara. Okay, so why do we have this? Why are we so deluded? It's because of our consciousness. Remember last week, last lesson, we were talking about the 4 main seats and our 6 senses. The 4 main seats actually are made up of, remember, the earth, fire, wind, and water. Water and wind. Okay, so these 4 main seats are in our 6 senses, which is our our 6 sense doors. These are the one that inside our consciousness, that is the one that make our delusion very hardcore. All right, these are the reasons. So look at this Surangama Sutta. Okay, let's look at what the Buddha talk about our 4 main seats and 6 senses. Okay, in Surangama, the Buddha said, okay, let's look at the slide. The solidity of the body is made of earth. Moisture is made of water. Heat is made of fire. Movement is made of wind. It was the 4 entanglements of these 4 elements that alienated us from our Buddha nature. We came out of Buddha nature because of these 4 seats, right? And because these 4 elements made things so real, so interesting. So we are being of curiosity. So what we do is that we will come out from our Buddha nature because so many happenings out there, all right? Together with the ability to see, to listen, to know, and to observe. Wow, so interesting. The movie start, right? The movie we call life, or the dream, or the game, you know, it's so interesting. So we enter into samsara. These 5 hardcore delusions overlap each other since the beginning until the end of our existence. Okay, so we are so caught up by these 4 elements with our 6 senses, you know, so all our story in life starts. It's like a movie, it's like a game, it's like a dream. So these 3 things are very interesting even in our life, right? So that's why we come into samsara and start the virtual computer game. Okay? So let's dive into the 5 delusions. What are the 5? Okay, number 1, which is the delusion of disaster. Okay, what is this delusion? What we cannot see, we always thought nothing is there. This very hardcore delusion had caused mankind a lot of blind spots. And we became proud and arrogant, for we thought what we don't see has nothing there to do with me. Correct? We don't see, so we thought nothing is out there. This is one of the hardcore delusion. So we thought nothing is inside this so-called space or emptiness. Okay, so listen to what the Buddha said in Surangama Sutta. The Buddha said, you see the emptiness of space in all directions, not realizing the omnipresence of emptiness, as empty space has no form. Okay, so when we look at all the realms, not only our human realm, everything, because the entire samsara consists of the 32 plane of existence. Okay, so we look at emptiness, we place very little attention to emptiness. Isn't it? We see everything moving. We don't see emptiness. Emptiness is actually very vast. Okay? Empty space has no form, right? Though you see empty space, but you are not aware that it is empty, right? Because we find that we don't know something is there inside the emptiness, number one. Number two, we don't even care about emptiness. Okay, we don't even care about emptiness. What more, the things inside emptiness? Okay, the continuity of such ignorance is the first hardcore delusion, namely the delusion of disaster. Mandarin we call 戒着, keep 着. Okay, this 戒 is disaster. I'll explain why it's called 戒. Okay, later. Okay, what the Buddha said meant, he meant we don't associate seeing with emptiness. We don't see emptiness, okay? Because we don't pay attention to it at all. So this hardcore delusion, the summary is, when we don't see, we thought there's nothing there. It has nothing to do with me, okay? And this is a very huge delusion among all of us. Because what the scientist actually has proven, that they say, with our physical eyes, this we call 肉眼, with our physical eyes, we only see 2% of, less than 2% of the what is actually there. Okay, for example, you look at lights, we only see our normal lights, the fluorescent light, or maybe the sunlight. Okay, we cannot see infrared or infrared, X-ray, ultraviolet lights, even beta, gamma, all these rays, they are all out of our range. That's why our eyes are very limited. Furthermore, we have this short-sightedness, long-sightedness, even make our eyesight worse. Okay, and besides, energetic field like electromagnetic field, microwaves, all the waves, we cannot see them, like air, like wind, electricity, Wi-Fi, okay? Together with things that's always with us, emotion. Can you see emotion? But they are all in energy form, in color, and the energy with a lot of color, even when different chakra, different emotion, different energy, all has different color, but we just don't see, okay? Bacteria, virus, right? We don't see. And 500 years ago, before the invention of microscope, which I think invented in 1590, 1590, 500 years ago, when you tell people there's a lot of living beings in the space or in the emptiness, I think they will say that this is fake news, okay? Because we don't have microscope. But with the arrival of microscope, we realize there's actually a lot of living things inside the emptiness, called viruses and bacteria, okay? So even different dimension beings, ghost, devil, ghost lah, okay? And the asuras, okay? And also like deva, our bodhisattvas. We don't see them because they are in different dimension, right? And finally, non-form, like karmic debt. We cannot see our karmic debt, the totem, which is actually all the time with us, right? And our karmic creditors. Some people with this special ability, they can see that there are a lot of karmic creditors around us, whereby we are just ignorant about it, okay? And it is so difficult to convince ourselves that there are things inside emptiness, okay? But 98%, more than 98% of the things are there in the empty space. We are so hardcore with this delusion. Why? Because we humans are basically materialist. So due to our very coarse five senses, what we see only we believe, or else we don't. When we see only we believe, but when we don't see, we don't believe. That's the problem. Okay, so this is one of the first very hardcore delusion spoken by the Buddha in Surangama Sutta. We call it the very hardcore delusion of disaster. The things that we don't see, we thought they are not there. Okay, question is, why did the Buddha say this is a delusion of disaster? Why didn't he say delusion of not seeing? Because the second delusion is delusion of seeing. Okay, this one is not seeing, things are not there, so we thought they are not, nothing is there. So why don't you just call delusion of not seeing, but delusion of disaster? Okay, so this is purely my interpretation. Okay, it's not written in the sutta. That's why I was thinking, how come disaster? Very funny, okay. So because you know why? Most of men's disaster, our disaster, are caused by unseen forces. That's why the Buddha chose the word "kip," disaster. Most of the things that happen to us, which is disaster-like, they are all from the unseen aspect. Okay, for example, serious sickness. Disasters to us, what? Okay, like cancer, depression, all these. 85%, this is the study done by a Mahayana master, okay? He said 85% of the reason why we've got cancer or this kind of serious sickness is because of karmic creditors. It's only 15% by environment. Like for example, cigarette lah, you eat something plastic lah, stress lah, all these are only 15%. The real reason is because of the karmic debt and the karmic creditors around us, inside our totem. Okay, so that's why even medical doctors, they are puzzled. How come somebody, a person has gotten cancerous sickness, cancer, okay? And they concluded by saying it's pure bad luck, because there's no ultimate equation for, if you do this, you should get cancer. That's why all the cigarette company, even you have a lot of legal suits, they are still around, because a lot also cannot prove that all this environment is the direct cause of cancer. So, but this master has been saying 85% of the reason for us to get a very heavy sickness is because of karmic creditors. Other sicknesses, like now, COVID-19, virus. Can you see virus? You cannot. Okay? Bacteria, toxic waves, like microwave, all these they are toxic. So if you are exposed to it a lot, you'll get a lot of sicknesses. So, but all these are unseen. Okay? Even accidents, car accidents, they said people with special ability, with psychic, they can see. Actually, a lot of accidents are done by karmic creditors. Okay, maybe fell down at home, small little accidents at home. Okay, even big disasters are caused by some energy, which is actually the karmic forces of a group karmic of forces, right? Coming back at home, things like divorce, bankruptcy, miscarriage, family breakups, all these are caused by karmic debts and karmic creditors that we don't see. Okay, so that's why the Buddha said, this is a delusion of disaster. We thought the disaster was done by this, but we still cannot find the direct cause. Basically are caused by a lot of unseen forces. Okay, so some master was saying, if we are sick, and if we are willing to do very sincere repentance, do merits, vow, change over with character, with lifestyle, the recovery of serious sickness like cancer is 87%. compared to you to go for medical cure, according to WHO, the success rate is about 8% only. That's why you see the repentance, the changing over and the cultivation itself, the result, they did the statistic, is about 87%. Okay, so therefore, the Buddha said the delusion of this not seeing is the cause of all our disaster in life. This is what I observed. That's why I was scratching my head. How come the Buddha called this delusion a delusion of disaster? 戒所记住. Okay, so these are caused by things that we don't see and we thought they are not there. Okay, so this is the first delusion. Okay, second, let's dive into the second delusion. Right, I also cannot finish it. Okay, the delusion of seeing. This one very direct. Right, what we see, we thought they are real. So terror. What we don't see, we thought nothing is there. Now what we see, we thought it's real. Okay, it's so difficult to tell even ourselves that what we are seeing, we are touching, we are feeling, sensing is not real. You know, so difficult for us to accept this, and that's why it's so hardcore delusion. We like what we were saying is so real because all of us inside this dimension are all unreal. When an unreal seeing another unreal is very real. Because both also unreal, we are within the same dimension. That's why we thought it's real because of the 4 seats, remember? Then we feel very solid. We feel things very heavy, you know, solid, and we can touch and feel. So this one is actually a very big delusion due to the 4 seats or inside the 4 main seats inside our consciousness. However, when we see other dimensions, okay, because samsara of different realm, right? So you see, when ghosts, when we see ghosts or when we see deva, they are all very flimsy because we are from different dimensions. That's why we can see that they are very unreal. And when they see us, we are very unreal to them. You know, because from different dimensions, they are slightly more real, we are slightly more unreal. They can see that we are very flimsy and we are very unreal to them. All right. So this delusion is something that, you know, caused a lot of confusion to all of us. Okay, so what we see, we thought it was real. Okay, you see what the Buddha said inside Churangama Sutta. Okay, the Buddha said, your body is made up of 4 elements. What you know from seeing and hearing is obstructed, misconstrued, and misled. Tambo, okay? It was the movement of the 4 elements that attracted our attention. Seriously, we like to look at things moving on, okay? In all these 4 elements, okay? The continuity of such ignorance is the second hardcore delusion, namely the delusion of seeing. Okay, so this hardcore delusion of seeing is so difficult to explain, if not even by scientists. Okay, but however, inside the sutta of Wang Renjing is another Mahayana sutta. This is what the conversation between the Buddha and Maitreya. Okay, why things so real to us? When you go to the cinema, you watch a movie, real or not? Real, right? Okay, you know, movie, how does a movie being created? Is through 24 frames per second, the rising, falling. You know, you flip the frame as fast as 24 frames within a second, things become very real on the movie. Okay, however, compared to life, okay, how is real life? According to Wang Renjing, the Buddha said 1 second comprises of 4 snaps of finger. Okay, we Mahayana Sutta we call 一弹经, 一弹指, sorry, 一弹指, like that. Okay, 一弹指. Okay, this is English, I just translate to snap of finger, 一弹指. 1 second, there are 4 snap of finger. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 second. Okay? 1 snap of finger has 60 flashes of thoughts. Okay, the Buddha, using psychic, we can see this kind of thing, okay? 1 flash of thoughts has 900 rising and falling. Okay, meaning within 1 second, there are 4 times 60 times 900 rising and falling, which comes up to 216,000 rising and falling. Compared to a movie, which is 24 frames, 24 rising and falling, 216,000 divided by 24 rising and falling. You know, life is 9,000 times more real than movie. Real or not? Interesting, this virtual computer game. So real. Because the rising and falling is so fast. The faster within a second, the more real it becomes. That one is 2D. Now we 3D plus time is 4D, you know? So everything is so real in life. Then the Buddha asked Maitreya, how many, this is thoughts, you know, thoughts. The thoughts has rising and falling. Then the Buddha asked Maitreya, how many consciousness within a second? Consciousness, even smaller than thought, okay? Each consciousness can produce a form. Remember, by virtue of force, you know, your consciousness can make things real by a force, okay? So, 事事成物, all right? 1 second, the Maitreya answered Buddha. Maitreya is a next coming Buddha already, okay? 1 second has 4 snaps of finger. 1 snap of finger has 320 trillion of consciousness. Therefore, 1 second has 1,280 trillion of consciousness. I also don't know how many zero there already. Okay, so by virtue of this force of this 1,280 trillion consciousness within a second, things solidify. So real. Okay, so that's why we find everything around us is so real, because our consciousness is moving so quickly, so fast, until everything solidify, everything become very alive, you know, alive. This is in fact very science, but I doubt the scientists can tell us this. Only the Mahabodhisattva and the Buddha can dissect everything to that level using their supernatural power. Okay, why? Because the scientists do not want to go to consciousness. Our scientists until today are still materialist. Okay, they still do not recognize consciousness, which is a big question mark. How come they don't do it? You know, if they go to consciousness, maybe they can do something remarkable there. But that's why we still need to count on the Buddha and the suttas. Albert Einstein once said, reality is merely an illusion. Albert Einstein, he said, reality is an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. It's a very persistent one. So real, so persistent. Even Albert Einstein said that. Okay, so this one marks the second delusion, which is the delusion of seeing. So real and so real. Okay, so these two actually come to the equation with what Guan Yin was saying in Heart Sutra. You know, 色就是空，空就是色，空色就是空，空就是色。Okay, emptiness is form. Emptiness is form. Remember this one? The first one is emptiness is form. When you see something in the emptiness, you thought there's nothing. Actually, there's form. And form is emptiness, the delusion of seeing. When you see something you thought is real, actually is an illusion. Okay, so this one is actually tying back to Heart Sutra. Okay, so these are the two. These two delusions are the one that really very inherent inside our consciousness, right? But knowing it, slowly coming out from it helps a lot in our life. Okay, we'll come to the conclusion later. All right, the third one, the third hardcore delusion will be the delusion of agony. Okay. This delusion is the cause of all our turmoil and all our suffering, because we cannot see things as they are. Seeing things as it is a very, very important quality. That's why we step back and reposition, so that we want to see things as it is, not smeared by all emotions, right? So, but however, it's very inherent for us to see things smeared with a lot of perceptions. Why? Because we cannot see things as they are, but habitually affected by the perceptions arise from our past experience. What happened in the past affect our perception and habit. And that's why when we see things later, we are all smeared by what happened last time. For example, made a mistake. I made a mistake, I got punished in the past. What happened? I've got this perception, I'm no good. I am not good enough, and mistake is bad. Bad because got punished. This is something very hardcore in all of us, That's why it's affecting all of us in our well-being. Because all this perception keep giving us a lot of wrong view and emotions after that. Okay, so look at what the Buddha said in Shurangama Sutta. Within you, there are past memories that keep repeating itself, becoming a habit. Yeah, what? All these memories make mistake, got fined, got punished, got looked down, So all these past memories keep repeating itself, becoming a habit. These memories and habit, when triggered, affects our views, allowing them to make real our contacts with all external objects. Okay, so this past memory keep on triggering from this habit and affect the way we see things. That's why all the perceptions start arising. When you are not instigated by external objects through your senses, you lost your knowing. You lose your knowing, okay, which is our Buddha nature. Okay, what does this mean? We lost our Buddha nature. That's why we feel very helpless to see this kind of effect on us, which is actually the perception arising from the past experience. That's why we cannot see things as it is, right? Means what, Here, the Buddha said, when we are not instigated by external object, okay, say, remember the bell experiment? When I ting, then you say, I ask you, can you hear? You say, yes, I can hear. But when I don't ting the object, no sound coming out, I ask you, can you hear? You will say, no, I cannot hear. Remember this experiment? Actually, it's not that you cannot hear. You hear, but you hear nothing. Okay, but you see, it's very hardcore in us that we recognize everything external object as part of us. We exist because there's an external object. This is ego lah. The ego exists because there is a past object. That means it is an external object. That's why when there is no object out there, we thought there's no more me. There's no more me. The ego said, no, nothing already. Actually, this is very wrong because the Buddha nature is there. But we didn't see the Buddha nature. We can hear. It's just that we hear nothing. And we just, brush this aside. That's why when the Buddha nature is at work, we are actually seeing things as it is. The problem is we are so externalist that we forgot. That's why we cannot see things as it is. We cannot see an object as it is. We always see things with our ego, with a lot of perceptions. So we don't know how to hop back into our Buddha nature when there is no external object. And even with the external object, because we forgot about our Buddha nature, even with the external object, we use our ego and perception and past experiences to look at what happened now. That's why it's smeared with so much of past perceptions. So this phrase actually the Buddha was saying, we lost ourselves, we lost the Buddha nature. Okay, and because of this, the continuity of such ignorance is the third hardcore delusion, namely the delusion of agony. Okay, this delusion made us easily jump into a conclusion with all these perceptions we carrying in, smeared by our past experience. This conclusion, let's say, for example, I was looked down by my friends and relatives when I was poor before. So when I was poor, so this experience create a perception, okay, that I will be looked down. Okay, this is bad, this is no good. And especially so when the emotion arises during that experience. I felt very hurt. I felt very bad, right? So this thing went into my memory and I carry this perception with me throughout my life. So the Buddha said, this thing is actually another big delusion, that we cannot come out from. It's very hardcore, right? For another example, I was bullied. I was bullied by somebody, also another past experience. Okay, so these stories went into my subconscious mind as memory and form my perceptions and views, and especially when I suffer an emotional upheaval from these experiences. Thus, we have two very important characteristics we used to study last time in 5PAT, insecurity and inferiority complex. Insecurity due to abandonment and inferiority complex due to bully in the past. So 5PAT, especially the first this, so if you are very good with 5PAT, this delusion, you can understand full-heartedly because it's really not easy to come up from these two complexes, insecurity and inferiority complex. Okay, because of, the Buddha said, this is so hardcore in us, right? These perceptions will eventually produce two distinct duality, very distinct, okay? Either good or bad, good and bad, right and wrong, high and low, okay? So we will chase after what? We will chase after all the good, right, high, okay? And we are averse to what? All the bad, wrong, and low. We are averse to that, okay? So in our entire existence, we chase after this, we discard this. And it's so tiring because it's the entirety of our existence. We're doing the same action, right? Causing so much agony in our life. That's why the Buddha said this is a delusion of agony. 煩惱咗，煩惱咗. So very 煩惱. We are very 煩惱. Why? Because of all these past perceptions. We cannot come up from these perceptions because of the hurt. So this is very hardcore. So hardcore that perception arises okay, so hardcore that it is so difficult, even when we find a medicine for it, which is called stepping back and reposition. It's so difficult to pull ourselves out, you know, because the thing is sucking us all back into our past. Okay, so this is the third delusion of agony. Okay, got no real life audience. Usually I always ask, any questions? So I can drink some water. Okay, so let's come to the fourth delusion, which is the delusion of arising. This one also very terror in all of us. Okay, it is impossibly impossible for many of us, in fact for all of us, not to arise with happenings, events, story in our life at action level, speech level, or thought level. So difficult not to arise happenings and events. In fact, we always wanting more arising. This is called space, space and time. Space, more arising, like more belonging, okay? More things that we want to own, loved ones, relationship, properties, you know, things that the assets, you know, and the experiences, we want more and faster in speed. Faster in terms of time. Faster, better, faster, better. You see, look at our handphone now, look at our computer now, look at everything. Everything so fast. Okay, we want more and more and more, faster, faster and faster. Okay, that's why this is another hardcore delusion that the Buddha spoke about, that we always want arising happening in our life. Cannot no arising one, you know. See what the Buddha said, okay? Okay, sorry. Delusion of arising. So the Buddha said, you initiate arising and perishing continuously and incessantly in the samsara. Okay, we love this. Wanting to know all the worldly matters. So some good and bad curiosity, but also very kepo okay? Consistently creating happenings every day, all the time, at different places. You like, okay? The continuity of such ignorance is the fourth hardcore delusion, namely the delusion of arising. We love to create. We love to create. We want to do it non-stop, repeat, never ending. Okay? Look at our life. Okay, let's check what happened to every one of us. When we were born, after that, action-wise, we start with action. We go to school. We go to college. We get a degree. Start a career. All these are arising. Start a career. Get married. Have kids. Buy house. Buy car. Go travel. Throw parties. Do gathering. Dinner. You know, all these. Shopping, etc. You know, we buy. Repeat, and we repeat all these action over and over and over, every weekend, every day, you know, never-ending story. Arising, okay? In terms of speech, we talk, we communicate, we gossip, okay? We give opinion. Yeah, we encourage, we motivate others as well. These are all arising, okay? No bad and no good. These are just hardcore delusion. We thought doing that is good, okay? Past judgments, frivolous talk. Cantonese, we call it choi soya, okay? We complain, we blame, we show off, we explain, we hard sell something. We keep talking, okay? In terms of thought, we think, we recall, we judge, we compare, okay? We plan, we analyze, we scheme, we strategize, we imagine, okay? So many things to do, so many arising non-stop, okay? We know, we understand perceptions and concepts, ideas, we try to understand, okay? Things, we perceive directions, left, right, top, low, below, we feel, we know exist, we exist, you know, even to that minute, we know that I exist is also another arising. Okay, we create time and space. Time and space are delusions, but we create that. These are all phenomenal. Okay, so these are all the arising that we do in life. Okay, it is so hardcore that if we do not arise, if we don't do it lah, okay, say, okay, Carol, if I don't do it, then what do I do? Okay, if I don't do it lah, okay, question is, can you come to the area that you don't do or not? Because once we do not arise and stay still, you know what happened to us? We feel very restless, very sad, very uneasy. Okay, we even feel very small, very ignored, very unimportant. Because there is no more arising, no more the excitement, no more loving attachment, no more recognition, no more satisfaction. You remember the 4 emotional traps? No more. So we don't want. So we want to keep arising. Okay? So because you know why? Only with this arising, I feel I exist. The existence of the ego feels good. All these are ego game, no? Ego game. Even doing good is ego game as well. Okay? So of course, that one can go into very, very deep, very long discussion. Okay, we just stop here. Okay? How can somebody not arise? How can, let's say like a Buddha, how come he need not arise? He need not, you know, when a person will not arise is only when he is in the stage of contentment. Content. You are very contented already. Okay? This kind of contentment is not because I feel very lucky, you know, so I'm very contented already. This is not the real contentment the Buddha is talking about. The content, okay, is when a person, just like the Buddha, who understands the entire existence of universe, how it works, and how all these truths match and appease all the questions in my mind. No more why like this, why like that, no more. No more questions. You are fully content. Okay? No more why in the dictionary called life. Life. No more why. And this is actually the person has gone back to content. You know, this content stage, which is the Buddha nature. That's why when we start coming out, we are full of curiosity because we know nothing. Okay, that's why we walk through the realm of samsara, walk through the realm of existence, you know, come with, after 3 aeons, finally you become a Buddha. You know what you did, what we did in the whole process is to find out and understood everything. That's all. This one, which skill can give you all this, you know? Me. Observe, contemplate, match, and investigate. So when we do me all the way until everything is appeased, then you go back to contentment. And once you're contented, there's no arising anymore. Sometimes even to the extent you don't need to even talk. You know, there's no more thinking, thought, no need. Nobody is there to think. You understand everything already. What is there to talk? You know? So, of course, the Buddha will still come back to samsara to, you know, help when situation arises. You know? So this one we go back to Diamond Sutra. Okay, coming back to the middle way. Okay, so this is the 4th delusion that the Buddha talked about, the delusion of arising. Okay, so finally, we come to the last delusion, which is the delusion of being alive. That we have a life. alive, you know. We are very attached to our life, okay? So much so that whatever we fear stems from the notion that we cannot die. We cannot die. You're so afraid of dying. It becomes so hardcore because we thought we have a life, okay? We have a life propagated by our body and our sixth sense door. With sixth sense door and our body arise with what? An egoic mind. And this egoic mind call this life. I must protect my life. Okay? So the Buddha said, originally, you do not need different senses to know. You know, all these different senses. Because originally, you are a Buddha nature. Okay? Bright and warm Buddha nature. However, and it's immortal. Okay? It's immortal. Buddha nature is immortal. Okay? However, due to the thick dust that cover up our Buddha nature, you have no avenue to know. But because why we want senses, like we spoken last time in the previous disc, you know, why we want all these organs? Because our Buddha nature is not functioning. They're all very dark, you know. So in order to know, because we want to know, that's the reason why we come to samsara, because of curiosity. But when we want to know, we start to create organs like eyes, ears, nose, mouth. We want to taste, see, listen, understand. You know, we want to know, okay? And thus your sense organs begin to evolve. Actually, we don't need sense organs, you know, okay? The Buddhas are, okay, these sense organs work together to know the outside world, but they serve different purposes and usages. Okay, basically, in Buddha nature, you don't need sense organs, but when we use a sense organ, because the Buddha nature cannot be functioning already, because so too thick with our dust, we create all these organs, and these organs serve different purposes and usage. Okay, unlike our Buddha nature. Our Buddha nature, no need one. Just one Buddha nature, know everything. Okay. Nevertheless, due to their different functions, they sometimes perceive an object inaccurately. Right? So this one, the Buddha said, because these organs we function differently. Like for example, seeing and hearing are different. Okay, so when I see something, when I hear something, I thought it was A. Then when I see A, it was B. So different function, different. That means sometimes I can make inaccurate judgment, right? So this one is part and parcel of your senses and your body that give us an illusion that I have a life. Okay. Unlike Buddha nature is immortal. That's why you don't feel that you have a life, you know. You have a life. Buddha nature is immortal. There's no alive, you know. Okay. So the continuity of such ignorance is the fourth hardcore delusion, namely delusion of being alive. Okay. So in actuality, there is no alive. Okay. Our body is merely a vehicle for us to enter into this samsara, including the deva. The deva also take a body, but they are all light body, mostly light body. Okay, so ours, we got physical body. We also have light body, but our light body is very flimsy. Okay, not bright enough. Okay, so even with this body, this light body or whatever body, they are still bodies, but they are still delusion. Okay, to the highest level until the highest plane, they become formless. They still got one consciousness. There is still an illusion. There is still illusion. Okay. However, we know when we are at our, okay, don't talk about Buddha nature first. Just talk about at consciousness. We do not die. Okay, we do not die. Our consciousness carries on this truncated journey only. Now you become human. Later, maybe next life you become deva. Then a bit naughty a bit. Then you come down again, become human, and then become animal. Then go back, become what? So all these are truncated journeys with different bodies only, but we do not die because our consciousness carry on, just like playing a computer game. Now you are in the game. Sometimes you advance, you go up higher level, but sometimes you start to drop back. So it depends on your points that you collect, right? So this is exactly a computer game, okay? But the virtual character will die, okay, in that game. What about the player? Will the real player die? The real so-called, we won't die. Only the character die. So you seeing it this way. Actually, for human and and compared to our consciousness, it's the same, like computer game. Okay, so we are a soul. We are a soul. They call the Westerners like to call soul. Okay, we call consciousness. We are a consciousness experiencing a human life only. Now we are experiencing human life. Later we experience as a deva. Later we experience play a game like let's say a monkey. I go to animal realm and see what is it like. Then after that, I come up back. It depends on what kind of game I want to play, right? And of course, what kind of game you want to play depends on whether you got that chip or not. Okay, you got your merits to play that game or not. Okay, so but to many, it is very unacceptable when one dies. Wow, when we hear people die, we will say, "You, see Joe. Actually, we must stop this." It's okay to die, okay? We just finish this game, then go and play that game, lah. So you always see so hardcore, die, okay, because our hardcore belief, if one dies, is something really bad. That's why we're so afraid of dying ourselves, because we keep telling us that when people die, it's so terrible, so terrible. When it comes to our turn, surely one day it'll be our turn. We're so afraid. We have to stop all this, Actually, these are all delusions. So when we see somebody dies, we thought it's really bad, there's no more story, no more existence, it's ending, Are you sure we really know there's reincarnation? When we know reincarnation, how come we're so afraid? Or is it at the ego level only? When we truly know that there is another journey, even more interesting journey ahead, I think we're waiting for our death. After this game, there will be another next game, very interesting. Just like today, I go to Thailand. Okay, when the journey finished, I know I'm going to Europe. Wow, more interesting, the journey. That is real understanding or believing in reincarnation. Okay, that's why with this hardcore delusion, we are so afraid of death due to this being alive. We want to be alive, right? And this death thing is actually an illusion created by our limiting mind only in this realm of existence with this dimension. When you go to 5th dimension, 6th dimension, higher densities, there's no dying only. They are okay with death because they can see. We are subjected to this veil of forgetting. The Cantonese call mang po tong. You drink the mang po tong, you forget all your past, you see. Okay, so that's why you were so scared. You thought this is the only life you have. But when you can see, not recall, not dream, when you can really see with yourself, with your eyes, that you got past, you still scared of dying. No need already, because after this one, I go to somewhere already, you see. But because of this veil of forgetting, stop us from knowing this. Okay, so and plus the linearity of time, we cannot go back to past. We only can go in front. This is linearity of time, and it only exists in 3rd density and below. Higher density, when you go to 4D and the 5D, your linearity of time will break up because time is an illusion. That time is no longer in linear. You can go back to past, you can go even to future, because time is a mark of event only. it's no longer linear. You know, it's just like when you watch YouTube, you can go back to the 3rd minute, or you can go forward and go to the 35 minute. You know, you can do that, you know. When you watch YouTube, that video itself, actually our life is like that one. But it's just that inside 3rd density, our karma, our consciousness will produce this hardcore delusion of this linear time. Okay? Is part of the being alive, right? So, okay, finally, conclusion. The delusion of, okay, the first one, delusion of disaster. Okay, this one we finished already lah, huh? So now we go back, we go back to these 5 hardcore delusion. We make a conclusion. If I know, okay, this delusion of disaster, I know there's this karmic debt, karmic creditors, these unseen forces, you know, how? I will be very careful with my action, my speech, and my thought. Because there are a lot of unseen things in the space. And I will become very respectful to all things, both seen and unseen. I will be very respectful, even when I'm alone. Okay? Number 2, delusion of seeing. Okay? Just like a movie, we are here, these are all everything only an illusion. Okay? We will not be so serious and calculative with this game of life, because nothing is so real. No need to be so serious. No need to be so cannot let go, so adamant. No need to be like that. Okay? Because you already know, the Buddha already said, the scientists already said, nothing is very real. Just remember, on the day on our deathbed, what is real? We're dying already. What is real? Nothing is real. Okay? So we can take things easier and let go. Okay? With the understanding of delusion of seeing, the 2nd delusion. The 3rd delusion, the delusion of agony. Because of this hardcore delusion, now I'm smarter. I play the game. Okay? I make sure be very careful what kind of perception go inside my mind when I experience an event. You know, I choose and pick what are the good things go inside. I learn from it. I don't take all the bad and negative perceptions, okay, from an incident, because I know this one killed. This one will smear my perception and make me suffer. Be very careful what we take in. Garbage in, garbage out. Take in, okay? Just like computer lah, huh? The delusion of arising. When I know this delusion of arising, I will think thrice, 3 kali, you know, when I want to arise something. Okay? Either action, speech, or thought. I will think thrice, okay? Not twice. Huh? Especially, this one is really traps of life, commitment of life. Okay? I will not have too many commitments in life, because all these are arising. For example, having and attaching to so many things in life. Okay? Loved ones lah, things lah, you know, attached to this, attached to that one lah, attached to all these committing things, you know, very committed things. Don't play this kind of thing, because it's very full, a lot of suffering, because it's only a matter of we want it to arise only. Okay? It's actually a lot of attachment cause a lot of suffering. Okay? So while playing the game of life, now I play smartly, right? And finally, the delusion of being alive. I understand we don't die. Okay? On the conscious level, I don't die. So I will not fear death so easily when I'm on that timeline. I understand. Okay? We are immortal, right? We just don't die. The dying part is only the physical level, right? So these are the 5 conclusions. After I know all these hardcore delusion, what is behind, so spoken by the Buddha in Surangama Sutta, I now play the game smarter already. I understand. No wonder it's so much of suffering in this so-called life, which I thought is so real. Okay, so beside this, okay, I take very short time, maybe 10 minutes to to browse through what is this wrong view. On top of these 5 hardcore delusion, which is very inherent inside our consciousness, it's very hard to take out. That's why it's very hardcore, right? There are also wrong views in life that the Buddha talk about. There are 5 main wrong views that is actually adding onto this hardcore delusion, make us even harder to wake up from. Okay, so these wrong views are actually not inherent in the consciousness. They are not inherent. They are outside, affected by what, by our culture, our society, and our world. Okay, these are the 5 wrong views. Okay, number 1, the wrong view of the 5 aggregates: ego, 身见或是我见. Okay, I am. Remember the balloon? You have a lot of concept. You thought there's an I. Okay, this is a wrong view of I. Okay, I, my ego, I have, I did, my what, my property, my loved one, my origin, my body, my belongings. All this mine, mine. This is mine. That mine. Everything me. Okay, so this is a very wrong view. So the Buddha said the wrong view of this me is as heavy as a mountain. Okay, so remember, a lot of times it's the ego at work. It's not your Buddha nature, right? Number 2, the wrong view of extremes. Okay, we like to have 边见, that means 边见, we always take 2 sides of a view. Very hard, hardcore with the extreme, right? For example, we always think permanent or continuity versus breaking off. Okay, for example, permanent or continuity. We want things always there, good things always there, stay on, don't break. The other side, we want to break off. We want things to stop. Okay, this is very much like we always say, 5PAT always say, we always attach to permanent. When we attach to something, we want it to be permanent and continue on. Okay, when we averse of something, we want it to break off. We want it to stop. Okay, so that's why we always stay put with this permanent and continue thing. Like, for example, all the good, all the high, all the right, very extreme. We want all this. We don't want what? We don't want low, mistake, wrong, and bad. We don't want. You see, so we are always very extreme. So that's why we are so tired. So many people went into depression. So many people so unhappy, because we always chase after the one extreme and try to maintain it so that it is permanent, so that it continues on. All right. And on the other side, we are so scared of the other end that we always run away. We always kick it off. We always try to avoid. So that's why we become very frantic about life. Okay, so this is the extreme view, the extreme. Next, the wrong view of wrong perceptions. Okay, like for example, some people, they have this wrong view like there's no karma. They go there, no karma, no conditioning, no timing. Okay, and also some people thought there's no reincarnation, no rebirth. Either you die off means you die off, no more, that's it. Okay, or some people thought you don't die off, you go to heaven and you live there forever. Okay, this is also another wrong belief. And another wrong view is permanence and self. We thought everything is permanent. We didn't know there's impermanence. So that's why a lot of people cannot accept change. Okay, yeah, you may be studying impermanence all the time. However, when change comes up, we refuse to accept. Hey, that means this impermanence on ego level only. If we really understand impermanence in our consciousness, in our context, really understand, not at ego level, all changes is allowed. We allow all changes. You see not? So this one is also another wrong perception. And another one is, this how is impermanence and permanence. Another one very big wrong view is self. Self means non-self and self. So a lot of people believe in self. That's why we like to control things. Non-self means a lot of things is not within our control. We should just allow. Problem is we don't allow, we want to control. Meaning one is another wrong view that we always think there is a self there. Okay, so this is another wrong view. And finally, other wrong views are very, very wrong views, which actually many of us, not for us, like cults, like killing or sacrificing to devote to, God and whatever, all the sacrifice, the human sacrifice, and end of the world, suicides, all these are wrong views. Okay, so these are the 邪見. Okay. And number 4, the wrong view of fixed belief. Okay, these fixed belief are actually belief in ideology supremacy. So you believe in ideology supremacy. That means you're very adamant with views. Okay, we are very adamant with the views, like what I hold this view is correct. And this is what is happening now in the world. That's why so much of polarization. You see, family are breaking up, right? Even friendship are all breaking up because of this fixed belief, especially now, or like generation gap, parental and also children, the gap very big. So, and then both are holding their views very hard, very strong. Okay, so always think that his view is correct, and it's very difficult to convince them. Okay, actually, it's a matter of timeline where everybody stands. If you stand the other side, then you always talk about that side. You stand this side, you always talk about this side. Okay, and we're very adamant on this, right? Especially now, the energy is like that. Okay, so talking back about this fixed belief, sometimes we ourselves also commit things like expensive and imported goods are always better. The fixed belief. Local, Malaysian made, not good. Like fixed belief. Okay, people who smoke and drink alcohol are bad guys. We got this kind of thought, people who go to temple and church are usually good guys. We always think like that, sometimes actually these views can be wrong, So fast, efficient, and educated people are smart, are smarter, fast, efficient, educated, whereas very slow, simple, not educated are not smart. Actually, though these are fixed beliefs, they can be broken one. Okay, rich and high in status are usually happy. We always think like that. That's why we always chase after that, right? Poor and lowly in status are usually unhappy people. So all these are the fixed beliefs. We call, you have this thought because of past experience, because you heard something. So it went inside and it become a fixed belief. And you hold it so hard until it affects everything that we see, we didn't know. So that's why we become very judgmental, become very, sometimes become very lopsided until we become very hard to get along with others because of all these fixed beliefs. Okay, and finally, the wrong view of rites and rituals. Okay, belief in ritual supremacy. Okay, holding on to this on certain rites and ritual or cultural discipline, and we thought this is what my value is all about. Okay, talking back like this one, rites and ritual, like those days our mother, tong gai pai san, when we pray to God, we have to tong gai one, so it's so hardcore in older people, you see. So, and for us, even us, when we practice Dharma, no bad things will happen to us. This is also another very, very dangerous ritual or rites that we hold, So, but are you sure when you practice the Dharma, nothing wrong will happen to us? It's not true. The truth is, when you practice the Dharma, bad things still happen, and yet I am not affected. This is correct. You know, bad things still happen, but you are not so affected now because of the Dharma. That one can. Okay, not that bad things won't happen to me one. Okay, so this one also very, very subconsciously, we always think that bad things don't happen one. If you are good, I know when I'm doing something good, I won't meet with accident one. You know, this kind of thing. And when meet with accident, how come like that? I do something good. Do something good doesn't mean that bad things will happen. Bad things happen to us is actually very good for our soul growth. Somebody told me before, the Guan Yin said, you know, if you want us to love you, is to expect us to give you challenges. When we don't love you, we won't give you challenges. It's just like parents lah. If you love your children, you don't give them all the sweet and sugar and lollipop, you know. You have to give them experience to make them stronger. This one is real love, you know. Like that lah. You see, so challenges are very good in life, and that is our soul growth and make us bright and warm. Our Buddha nature, our light body come up. Okay, so that's why another rites and ritual we hold on is like white lies are still lies, so cannot be spoken. White lies, okay. But you must understand lies. Why the Buddha asks us not to tell lies? We must know the spirit behind. You know, it's not holding on this precept, and then we cannot, you know, we cannot live a life that don't hurt others. Sometimes, if we tell a lie, if we don't tell the lie, we tell the truth, it can be very hurting, and it causes a lot of disharmony. Sometimes a white lie, we have to tell, I don't know lah, for me, I will tell white lies. You know, just like the normal example, if a lady, she's already dressed up to a dinner, ask me whether she looks good or not. But actually the dress is really out of place, okay? Already in the dinner, how to say? Very ugly, like that. Go away and change. Cannot, right? So you will have to say, okay lah, you know, okay lor, okay. I didn't say very nice. I said, okay, okay. I don't know. So these are, actually, I'm not telling the truth, you know, but at least I save her, see? At least she don't feel so small in the dinner. This kind of thing, a lot of this kind of experiences or this kind of instances in life, okay? So do not hold on to a precept or a cultural discipline so hard until we don't know what the spirit behind, okay? Another one. Chanting, meditation, doing charity work, holding precepts are already very spiritual. This kind of thinking the ritual we thought these are the things that we do actually we are very spiritual really. Okay, chanting meditation do charity work holding certain precepts Actually, this is not good enough, you know. According to some of the Mahayana master now, they say if there is no effort in self-correction, inward correction, even though you do all these rites and rituals, like chanting, meditation, doing charitable work, holding certain precepts, and yet the character is still the same with a lot of emotions, still very angry, very never hold back and never change in the character-wise. They said, the master said, we are not going to pay attention to this type of disciples anymore. Because now walking inward and changing ourselves, you know, it's the number one thing on earth in the spiritual arena now. Okay, no longer doing all this. Because sometimes it's rather bad. You know why? Because by doing all this, sometimes I thought I'm already very spiritual. All these, you know, external rites and rituals. I thought I'm already doing my job already. I'm already doing my bổn phận, my responsibility. But that is why these people, they never look. Actually, compared to another person who don't do all this kind of thing, at least he still feel guilty that I didn't change over. You know, because by doing all these rites and rituals, I kill away the guilt of I'm not changing. I kill away the guilt because I thought I'm doing already. You know, so actually, A person who doesn't do all this kind of thing, sometimes it's better because he has the guilt of not changing himself. So at least he knows that, I need to do something about it, So that's why holding some of these rites and rituals sometimes can be can be worse because we thought we are doing something. There's no more guilt anymore. Okay, so this is the final thing. So these 5 wrong views, if we can eradicate these 5 wrong views, according to the Buddha, actually not bad, you can become Sotapanna, equal, this one is killing the wrong views, you can become Sotapanna. Right, so with this, I think we shall end. Oh, exactly 11. Just nice, my timing. Okay, so I will pass the floor. Hey, wait. Do chanting first. Oh, stop sharing first. Okay, I stop sharing. I pass the floor back to Chai. Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Carol, for the insightful sharing. Yes, as we are all aware now, it's already past 11. But we have some questions here. So is it okay to address the question before we go, Sister Carol?
Sure.
Okay. So we'll start with the first question. This is from Brother Leong Yu Ming. Okay. The question is like this. There is no Bodhi tree and no mirror bride. Where lies the veil of illusion if there is no self? Can Sister Carol comment on this?
菩提本無樹，明鏡亦非台，本來無一物，何處惹塵埃 ？This one okay. What is this question? Ask me to.
Just to comment on that particular sentence.
Oh, this
that
one.
Phrase. Yeah.
This one very deep. This one very
Where
good.
lies the veil of illusion if there is no self?
Where lies the
veil of illusion?
If there is no self. Veil of illusion. It was this. That's why it's actually the veil of illusion is actually no self. Okay, because of this self, you thought you have a self. Okay, why? Because of this veil of this illusion. This illusion is the one that made us, we thought that is an I. Okay, so if you want me to comment on this one, is very much I find that the whole illusion, the biggest illusion of all, delusion of all, is actually we thought I thought I have a I. I have an I. That's why 本無樹菩提本無樹，明鏡亦非台，本來無一物。There's nothing one. There's no this I. There's nothing. Okay. In fact, everything go back. Let's say if one day we go back to our Buddha nature, we actually join into the ocean of intelligence where there is no a person one. There's no an individual, no individuality one. So you go back to the one, and you exist immortally inside this one of this ocean where I always say you are everywhere but nowhere. So this is actually the no I. And because of this, we go back to our Buddha nature. So this veil of delusion actually started off is because of this I came up. So that's why got delusion is because of we created the I. Like that. Okay.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Sister Carol. Okay, second question from Ng Lee Hong. She asked about how to step back and reposition. What to think when we do that?
What to think? Okay, you don't think anything. You just observe. Okay, so this is actually the skill level for 5 PAT. When you step back and reposition, actually you are truncating the story moving in your consciousness. When you're seeing a story happening, an event in or whatever, a quarrel, say for example, suddenly you pull yourself out from this story, right? So you stay in the span of this awakened moment, just looking at what is happening. Because at least you're not inside the flow of the story, which actually cause all the emotion that let us suffer. Okay, so when you pull yourself out, you just look at it with a lot of awareness, you look at it, observing. Okay, of course, it depends. It goes on further because that's why now we are our own center. We are doing this, step back and reposition skill in detail, in depth. So the moment when you step back and you stay at the span of awareness, so what we do is usually we watch and you look, observe, okay, and then you contemplate if you have time. I don't know how skillful you are, but at least at the first level, okay, don't go so far. The first level, you stand back, you step back, reposition, you look at it from a very objective mind because you are no longer very emotional. Okay, so then from there you observe, okay, if there's any decision to make, at least you are making a decision without emotion. Okay, so this question is a very big question because it takes so many different situations and different level of skills. Okay, but you ask me, where do you put your awareness? Your awareness is to observe the happening still going on, but you are not inside the story because you become very objective now because you tore yourself away from the emotion that arises from that story. You get me now? So you are at a higher level of consciousness now. I like that.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Sister Karen.
Use example will be better.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Yes, okay. So the next question is also from Brother Leong. He mentioned this: with the 4 elements and 5 aggregates, our physical body arises. To cross over the sea.
Actually, as the spot is the illusion. Okay.
Okay. To cross over the sea of suffering to the other shore, one needs a nama rupa or body as a tool or instrument to cross over to achieve the objective. Having arrived at the other shore, we should then leave the raft behind and not carry it along. The question is, who or what has arrived at the other shore?
Who had and what arrived at the other shore?
Yes. To cross over the sea of suffering. So he's saying that one needs a nama rupa or body as a tool. So now, when you already arrived at the other shore, so who is that or what is that has arrived actually?
It is still the body and the body and what?
And the nama rupa or body
nama
as a
rupa.
tool.
The nama, that means the body and the mind. Okay.
Yes.
It is still the body and the mind that cross over. However, this body and mind, before crossing and after crossing, the difference is the ego.
Okay.
The ego. I can still be you see the Buddha when he comes, he still have a little ego. That kind of is not called ego. Okay, how do you define ego? Ego is the egoic, ego, big I, the big I, not that kind of ego. We still carry on life with this body and this mind, and then but without ego. When you talk to people who has not much ego compared to a big ego person, so you can feel the difference. So when we cross over, it is still that same person with the same body and same mind, however, minus that big ego. Like that lah. Still cross lah.
Yeah, still cross. Okay. Okay.
The raft, actually the Buddha, when he's talking about the raft, is actually very much the Dharma. It's not so much your body and your mind that you throw away. It's the Dharma, because we use the Dharma to cross over. So when we reach there, we throw away the raft, which is actually the Dharma. We don't carry the Dharma with us all the time, because once you learn already, you already reach to the place they call Ru. You don't even know that you have to practice Dharma in order to be kind. You are just kind. You are kind. And when people say, hey, you are very kind, you will say, what is kind? Kind, man? I thought this is like that one. Like that. Ru. When you reach Ru, you don't need the Dharma anymore. You can actually discard the Dharma. If you keep on holding the Dharma, you cannot go very far because you are not immersed into the life. You are not immersed into life. Again, because you are still holding you still need a lot of awareness. The one still not yet. Once you hit the final, the 究竟, the 究竟 already, the ultimate, you don't need Dharma anymore. You are Dharma yourself. You are the Dharma already.
Oh, that's very deep, Sister Carol. Okay, maybe we need another session on that.
Oh, yeah. These are a lot, big questions. Okay.
Yes, correct. Okay, so the next question is on the first two delusion,
Hmm.
emptiness and seeing. Knowing it will bring any difference, what or how will it affect us? And are we going to correct or improve our lives?
Hey, like just now I say, okay, now and when I know a lot of things I see, a lot of things I don't see, doesn't mean that there's not there. For example, karmic debtor and karmic creditors and karmic debts. You know, all these virus, all this, okay, we talk, the one is our life. All these different dimension beings actually they are affecting us. So now I'm very different. So when I do whatever, I become very respectful. I become very humble and I'm not proud, you know, because I know there are many more things that are even better than me or higher than me. Okay, number one. Number two, when I know that things I see, it's not real, definitely, I don't know, I feel I will not be so serious about any argument, any fight, you know, any relationship, like, you know, fighting for ego kind of thing. I will not dabble into it anymore because I know at the end of the thing, it's an illusion and it is a virtual computer game allowing us to come here to experience life, to have a place for us to sharpen our virtues, you know, and also for us to open up our wisdom, you know, to wake up from this dream. That's all. You know, so when I go into all this fight with the devil, with all these people, I realize that all these are the delusion trying to suck me in because nothing is real. It is actually virtual, you know. So very different. I see life now like that, you know, especially when I know there are devas up there. We are so minute. Our one life for them is one afternoon. You still want to fight? People take a nap, wake up, you already die. You still want to fight and not get angry. When you see all this, you find you really a joke to them. I tell you. You know, so
okay. All right.
That's me.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Sister Carol. We have more and more questions coming in, about 6. Yeah, after okay. Okay, coming to the 5th question. Is the 3rd delusion is always based on past experiences that form our habits and characteristics. The 3rd one will be delusion of agony.
Yes.
Agony.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. It's the past experience that, especially there's emotional upheaval. If something happened, I feel very hurt. I feel very angry. I feel very fearful. I feel very abandoned. I feel very bullied. When the emotion comes up, wow, this one go inside your consciousness, you know, subconsciousness, and also the hurt, you know, you cannot take up from there. So this one will definitely smear after that what I see, you know. So all these are happening at the subconscious level, which is a very hardcore delusion. So we have to be careful. We have to step back and reposition and look, hey, what am I learning from this experience? You know, is it true this experience give me is it a definite equation? Hey, I don't want to get into it, you know. You get me not? Because I know these are very automatic happening inside my consciousness. So I have to be careful.
Right. The next question. So for the second wrong view, which is on extreme, should we just let go and let things happen? Do not grow any attachment towards that?
Of course, but one thing, before I let go and allow, I always check using middle way whether I have done my part. That's all. I always do a review of this situation. Is either this or this extreme. I try to choose the middle. Once I do the middle and I'm already doing my part because I want to kill the guilt in front. I don't want the guilt feeling, okay? So I just do my part. And doing my part, I always take the middle way. Because a lot of people doing my part, they will go until like very far, until become very subject, you know. So doing my part, I will use the middle way, which you listen back to the purpose. I teach everybody how to go to the middle. So you use the middle way to solve this guilt in front, and then I've already done my part. Then the rest, I will just allow. I allow so that I don't fall into the extreme. Okay, good, good, no good, fine with me. There's something I need to learn, you know.
Yes. Okay. All right. Another question. This is from Sister Emily. She asked about what about if looking for permanence or continuity of Buddha Dharma in our world is also considered a wrong view?
Sometimes it's because of that we become very with the Dharma. Okay, so her question is it a wrong view?
It's also a wrong view. Yeah, whether this looking for permanence or continuity of Buddha Dharma in the world is also a wrong view.
Not looking at looking at it as a permanent thing or one thing.
Permanent or continuity.
That is definitely a wrong view. Anything. That's why the rafter you have to throw. Once you reach whatever you learn and you use it already, that's it. You cannot hold on to the Dharma. You see, sometimes I feel that people holding on so hard on the Dharma until when lopsided already, they didn't know actually the Dharma want to teach us something rather than the Dharma itself. You know, so actually it's wrong view.
Okay, right. The next question is also on the wrong view of extreme. From Sister Yvonne. She mentioned that with this pandemic, we are surrounded with negative news every day that frighten us more. So how to overcome these two frightened of the pandemic?
Don't listen to it. Okay, the news, I find I love news, and I always since my past 20 over years, I watch, I read Sinchu, Jippo, 1 hour even though I'm so busy, I read, I make sure I know what's going on. But lately I find that the news, a lot of news also fake news. Even mainstream news, also fake news, you see. So, and then a lot of cancel culture, whereby all the good things they just pull it down for don't know what reason, okay? So I find that nowadays, the news is quite, very prone to creating fear and losing hope, okay? So when I see things like that, I know something has changed for the past 2 years or maybe 3 years. So then I rather not read, because why I read in the first place, I ask myself, because I want to be informed, okay? But if the information is not so real, plus it's very selective reporting, and it caused a lot of fear. After I read, I feel a lot of fear, a lot of hopelessness. I myself put it aside. I'm not a demon with must know the news. So if you're creating a lot of fear by the news, then discard it, put it aside. No need to know so many things. Listen to more of the good things that give a lot of hope and love. So this is something I always practice myself. Anything that promote love and hope, I go for it. Anything that promote fear and hopelessness, sorry, it's a matter of timeline. I tell you, everything is a delusion. It's really up to you what you want to see, what you want to feel, right? Since everything is delusion, so everything is an illusion, it's really up to me, because of emptiness. It's really up to me what I want to see, what I want to feel. I myself feel something good and happy, because after all, it's still 假嘅，兩個都係假嘅嘛。You see, it's still all are not real. So I myself stand on the timeline that give me a lot of happiness and hope. Because I will choose like that. Like that. So you for Yvonne, no need to read really. I already don't stop reading long time. I only take the information like SOP, mandate, all these are how go where, but open, what not open. That's all I need to know for my daily activities, or else I don't need to know all the information anymore.
That's great. Thank you for sharing, Sister Carol. Okay, and we have a few questions from Im. Basically, she posted 3 questions at one go. Okay, we'll go one by one. Sister Carol, is falling sick means that the karma has ripened, and is it good to clear the debts?
Oh, falling sick. Falling sick. Okay, falling sick. how sick, very sick, let's say for very sick, it's actually part and parcel of repaying our debt to our karmic creditors or even our karmic debt. A lot of times also is already inside our soul contract before we come down. Actually, before we come down, there are some of these events that happen in us is actually pre-planned that we want to experience. And that's part of our soul evolution. So especially coupled with all these debts and creditors that we still owe. So we agree, okay, come to this point of life at this age, I will go through this. By going through this, I clear off this karma, this creditor, I pay back. So while going through, I'm learning. Actually, all these especially big sicknesses are pre-planned already. So anybody has any big sicknesses, don't be surprised, because actually we pre-plan already. But focus on what I learned from this sickness. How do I detach from my body? How do I treat my body as just another vehicle? Of course, this is very deep, not easy. But going through it, another very consoling thing is that I'm clearing and I'm paying back something which I still owe.
Okay. So the second question from her is that, is it possible we absorb bad energy via massage from someone who is sick and returned from hospital?
Yes,
possible.
You can absorb one.
Okay.
Especially when you do not know how to protect yourself with the shielding. So sometimes being contacted with that person, you can actually take over his or her energy through massage, especially body contact. You can take over. And then why you take over, sometimes it's karmic also, or else you won't meet this person. Even if you don't have the karma, that energy cannot come up to your body.
I see.
Okay. So
all right.
That's why people who are in this business masseur, they must know how to clear themselves all the time, and also how to minimize the taking over of of energy from the sick person. You have to learn all this. I know some friends like that, so they always do a lot of cleansing.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Sister Carol. Okay, the last two questions, right? Actually, we got more, but we have to stop it now. Okay.
I like questions. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Ego is inherent in human beings and is necessary for survival. How do we tame the ego, from JC?
How do we tame the ego?
The ego, yes.
Wow, this is a very big topic. Okay, important thing is, why your ego so fierce? Why? Trace back why the ego. Why you ask these questions? There must be this ego quite naughty, right? So why this ego very naughty? Because we are holding on certain perception. We want something. This is very inherent in all of us. Okay, we want. Let's say, for example, I want fame, I want wealth. So that's why the more I want, the more the energy will be focused there. When this is focused, the ego will go very big, because of the desire. Nothing is wrong with the wealth and the fame. Nothing is wrong. It is because of the desire we want, it becomes very big. And we keep on. Let's say if I'm this friend, I will ask myself, why my ego so big and I want to tame it? Why is it big? Because of my wrong view, because of my desire, because of my past hurt. All this got to trace back. This one must go back to this number one. How to tame your ego. This number one. And it's not only you. A lot of people having this problem. That's why when this one came out back in 2015, a lot of people asked a lot of questions in my different seminars or so, because that is the time you really understand. Today we suffer. It's not because of what? It's all because of ourselves. Who am I? The first, who am I? The real culprit is the desire, and we are ignorant about that. Because of the past hurt, because of the childhood experiences, and in fact, because of our past life. and all the karmic karma, all these things now we are bringing together with us. So this one very big, you must go back to this one.
Okay. All right. Okay, the last question is also from Im. She asked about if it's asking to shorten my life so that my parent lives longer, bad for karma.
That means exchanging life for, that means
yeah.
I mean, that means I cut my life, give to my parents.
Yes. From what I understand from the question.
The question is what?
Is that bad for karma by doing that?
Bad for karma, bad for a person who wants long life lah, but it's not bad for karma. You can exchange like that one, no problem. As long as there's free will, that you agree and the other person accept. Once there's a free will, things can be arranged, but everything has to be free will. Okay, so if she is agreeable and the parents also feels that on the soul level, maybe you talk to your parents on ego level, on physical level, your parents say don't want, try because they love you, but on soul level, let's say this girl, this lady, or this person, actually at the soul level, you want to do this. You talk to your higher self, or you talk to whoever, your divine, okay? Then after that, your divine will communicate with the divine the other side. Okay? So if everything agreed, let's say the soul of the parents also said, okay, I accept, then things can be done. It's not bad for karma. It's not bad for karma. There's no karma there. It's actually you agree to give away some of your merits, and that's it. You agree, You agree, then it's okay, no?
Okay. Right. Okay. Thank you, Sister Carol. That wraps up our Dharma talk today with the last question just now. Thank you again for the insightful sharing. Brothers and sisters, Sister Carol has shared with us today the 5 hardcore delusions. Yeah, if I can summarize, it's like the delusion of disaster, the delusion of seeing, the delusion of agony, the delusion of arising, and the delusion of being alive. And she shared some excerpts from Shurangama Sutra, and she also introduced us the Wang Ren Jing, where that is very interesting, where Sister Carol mentioned calculation. Yeah, it's so scientific, mathematics and all that, because this is something very scientific and very mathematical, statistical as well. And thereafter, Sister Carol also talked to us, shared with us the 5 wrong views, right? I am very interested with the phrase that Sister Carol mentioned. We are just a consciousness experiencing a human life. Just now you did mention that. Yeah, so that's make me think and has a deeper feel, I would say. And at the same time, I would like to wish, and also I would like to share the repentance verse, right? It says here in Mahayana Sutta, repentance verse, all evil karma I did in the past come from beginningless greed, anger, and delusion, and was made by my body, mouth, and mind. I now repent of it all and reform. Yeah, right. So thank you so much again, Sister Carol, for the insightful sharing, and appreciate if you could lead us in sharing the merits.
Sure, no problem. I share the screen first.
Yes, please do.
Okay, share. The arrow, wait. Okay. Verse of transference of merits. Okay, let's start. May the merits I accrue today help me to eliminate my karmic debts. May they support the development of a wisdom which reveals the ultimate truth that all phenomena are mind-made. May the merits also ripen conditions that will distance me from those inverted views of samsara made real by the ego, so as to awaken the deluded mind from this dream-like world of illusion. All my unwholesome actions in the past had arisen from the 3 evil roots. In the presence of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, I now sincerely repent all the sins and misdeeds that I have committed through my thought, speech, and actions. May the merits I accrue today be shared with all my karmic creditors. Together, we shall tread on this wonderful path of the Dharma until enlightenment and Buddhahood is dawned. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Stop sharing. Okay.
Thank you again, Sister Carol. Brother and sisters, thank you for joining us today. Our next Dharma talk will be on 17th of October, right? Please block your calendar where Sister Carol will share with us on emptiness is form, form is happiness. Form is emptiness, not happiness. Okay. Okay. Yes, and if I'm not wrong, this is part of the text in Heart Sutra. Yeah, Sister Carol. Yes. Okay. So, brothers and sisters, we'll see you on 17th of October. Please do like our Facebook page and YouTube channel. See you again soon and take care. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care. Bye.
Climb the path with gladness in the field of life, vanquishing illusion, ignorance and strife. Brotherhood and service shall our motto be, and the goal before us, truth and liberty. We will teach thy Dharma wheresoever we go. Wisdom, love, compassion in our actions show. We must stand together, fighting side by side. Truth is undivided, this must be our guide. All divisions vanish where the truth is known. This the greatest lesson by Lord Buddha shown. Forward marching ever in the Dharma's might, till we lead the nations into endless light.